And Maria, I see Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer is indisputably a great film, but...
Is that because that's supposed to be your thing?
I haven't joined the party, Frank. And I don't think she should have convinced you to either.
Did you see it? Let's break it down a little more.
Is that because that's supposed to be your thing?
I haven't joined the party, Frank. And I don't think she should have convinced you to either.
What was the point in that shot? It has a jarring continuity error with him raising an arm to drink, but the shot overall is too fast. The first time I watched this film was with my girlfriend, and we only got half an hour in before we turned it off at this scene. We both thought it was cut so weirdly quick that it was becoming difficult to take anything in, and it just felt like a really long trailer. There are so many scenes like this where the cuts are so fast that it feels like you're watching the quickest tennis match ever played.
Oh, I feel sick.
You would rarely get shots with both characters' faces on screen at the same time, which would have helped when one of them has a short line of dialogue. Cutting to that certainly makes more sense than cutting to a second-long shot which is barely long enough to process someone's face, let alone their emotions. I loved the scene-to-scene editing and the non-chronological jumping about, but the shot-to-shot editing was just too fast. It feels like a mistake, and I picture the editor watching the film in the cinema thinking, oh no, I forgot to delete that clip. It must have been hiding in one of the higher-up timelines. It's incredibly disorientating and feels like the characters are never given room to breathe. It looked sloppy, but was that intentional? It's not just a result of sloppiness, it's a choice. Calling it sloppy is preposterous. This was clearly done very intentionally. It's honestly embarrassing reading this thread. They're using phrases like poor editing, sloppy, etc. like they're facts, as if these aren't intentional, strategic, creative decisions by the director. Did you notice that from the start of this video, my camera was a little bit out of focus? It's currently focusing on my ear, which means my face is a little bit blurry. That's better. Chances are that if you did notice this, you would have put it down as an error on my part instead of an intentional creative choice. I'm just a person on YouTube with not many subscribers, so it adds up. No wonder he gets so few views, he can't even focus his camera properly. Which is true, I don't nail the focus every time because frankly, I'm no Christopher Nolan. What is this? It's just a touch out of focus, and you can tell if you look up here. Her hair up top is crisp and in detail, but as we get closer to her face, it becomes a bit blurry. It's fine, but if we compare it with the reverse shot of Oppenheimer, we notice the image is a lot clearer, showing more detail in his face. It's like we're looking directly into his eyes, but here it's like we're looking at Florence Pugh's messy Marxist hair. Here's another shot with Gary Oldman, whose entire face is out of focus, like we're looking through the eyes of an old man. There's a lot of shots like this throughout the film, but there doesn't seem to be any reason for it. Why would you purposely be out of focus by a couple of inches if it isn't a mistake? It's 100% intentional on Nolan's part. He can hire the best in the biz, so I can guarantee it's a choice. The choice is that Nolan chooses to shoot on film, and the viewfinders you look through to see the image are in a very low resolution, which makes it harder to dial in the focus. It's also very expensive to film for IMAX, so you likely won't do take after take to make sure everything is perfect and then do it again just to be safe. He wanted to film in the most difficult way possible, which comes with some downsides, like a downsized nuclear explosion. Knowing all this, it would make sense that the out of focus shots were the result of reducing the amount of IMAX frames to cut costs, rather than a creative choice. In my previous video about The Curse, I filmed in a way that was similar to the show, where it was on a handheld long lens, but some people were complaining about me reading the script on my phone, saying it was lazy and I should have bothered to learn a few paragraphs or get my mum to hold up some cue cards. But it's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be voyeuristic, like you're watching me learn my lines in the process of making a video essay. It's the behind the scenes making of, just like how The Curse is the behind the scenes of a TV show. That was one hell of a reach. This is a scene from Christopher Nolan's previous film, Tenet, and it's very loud. Even though you can't hear anything in this exposition scene, people were still defending it, saying it's a choice. We later found out this was the result of Nolan sound mixing the film for the most premium of audio setups that not even the cinemas had. This is something that I have messed up as well. Can we pause this? That can go deaf in it. When making my video on the film Choose or Die, I had a comment saying that the music was a bit too loud, and this was something a lot of people were agreeing with. That was my mistake. I was the one who dropped the ball there. It sounded good in my headphones, but I didn't check how it sounded coming out of a phone speaker, nor did I account for the fact that I've been listening to my voice over and over. Obviously, I'm going to know what I'm saying because I know the script and I know my voice, so I can easily pick up on the wording even if it doesn't sound perfect. There's a shot in Oppenheimer that I hated. During one of the investigation scenes, the group of white fellas are questioning Oppenheimer about one of his affairs with Florence Pugh. The scene is very emotional and tense, as she's seen as a possible threat of the country, and yet he had to see her. Also, all these details are being accounted while his wife sits uncomfortably in the room. I understand what is happening. This is obviously the wife visualising her husband's affair. The problem, however, is that it's weird and out of place. I was very immersed in this scene and then suddenly I'm confronted by his nipples. What's worse is that the film is relatively literal with its portrayals of everything, with the only exceptions being a few shots of science stuff that take place inside the character's mind. The intent is always clear because Oppenheimer will be staring off into space when we get a bunch of lines going manic. But here, it just blends in with what's happening in the real world, so you briefly think he's stripped off as the questioning got him all hot and bothered. It's extra jarring because this takes place in the wife's imagination, and at no other point in the story are we looking at things from her point of view. She's not all that important to the story, so why are we bending the rules of the world to show this scene? A recurring theme I found from reading other people's takes on these creative choices is that they don't usually offer up a good reason for why it's a good choice. Sure, they'll say the fast editing is a metaphor for the chaotic life of this nuclear man, but is it worth it to make the audience feel like they're suffering from radiation sickness?
Oh god, I feel sick.
The creative choice to read my script from my phone was distracting to some people, but I stand by it as I wanted to make something different. When I talk to the camera, I'm talking to you, which is a very normal way to do a video essay. Now if I turn a little bit and start talking to the air, well then what the fuck am I doing? Just standing here on my own next to a bit of horse poo that I'm using as a marker, just monologuing to the air. It doesn't make any sense. Reading from my phone helps to immerse you into what I'm doing because I wanted you to feel like you was watching something that wasn't quite ready yet. Imperfection was a key theme to what I was talking about in that video, and so I wanted a style that matched it. This is all getting far too pretentious.
This is my wall, and it's blue. It's an artistic piece that displays the freedom from ideas of representation or personal expression. It's a boring piece of art, but that's intentional, since I want to show that anything can be used to move us. That'll be £3 million, please. Obviously, that's a ridiculous situation, but if a similar artwork exists out in the world where it's just a canvas made up of a singular blue shade that sells for millions, then why can't I make something similar? I could have made that as a common response to seeing a majority of modern art pieces that is often retorted by a snobby art student in a beret saying in a put-on French accent, "Well then no, why didn't you?" I just did. Now where's my money? No matter what metaphorical or symbolic meaning I connect to my art, it's not worth as much as if an established artist did it.
It really sounds like I'm being a baby, just moaning. Oh, you guys just don't get it. I'm smart, you're not. You're wrong, I'm right.
Whether something was a mistake or a creative choice is completely up to the artist, but if we aren't told which it is, then we must decide, meaning it ultimately comes down to where you would place this person on the artistic scale. If they're at the very top, then everything they do is a precise, calculated decision designed to evoke some sort of reaction out of the audience. If they're near the bottom, then any attempt at symbolism or allegory was simply accidental. By the way, I really enjoyed Oppenheimer. I know it sounds like I got a bit of a chip on my shoulder, but I actually thought it was a really well done film.